Hello, welcome. You are with Dr. Sushma Singh. Today in Unit 8, Gandhian Perspective on Development, we are going to know about Gandhi's perspective on development. Gandhian perspective on development is distinct in two counts. It prioritizes one, the self-development over material prosperity, and the second is development of villages, rural industries, and working at the grassroots over modern machinery, technology, and mills. Gandhi toured the entire country extensively, using different modes of transport ranging from bullock cart to trucks. He is also known for traveling long distances on foot. Thousands of people would collect to hear him or even to get a glimpse of him. Most of his endeavors were geared towards the social and economic uplift of the downtrodden, the poor, and the helpless. In this unit, we will begin with Gandhi's ideas about machinery in a general sense and khadi and village industries in a specific sense. We then move on to the concept of education and what meaningful education should consist of. This leads us to the concept of material progress and development. Gandhi makes a distinction between material progress and real progress. For him, real progress is rooted in Swadeshi. It may be understood that machinery, education, and economic uplift are the core issues of development. We end with an alternative viewpoint which questions Gandhian perspective of development. Now let us start khadi and village industries. Gandhi firmly believed that the essence of Swadeshi consisted in producing enough clothes to wrap up each Indian, which would be possible through spinning and weaving by the masses. The people needed to pledge themselves to the use of Swadeshi clothes only. He added that the use of khadi clothes for covering the body has greater implications. In his own word, khadi must be taken with all its implications. It means a wholesale Swadeshi mentality, a determination to find all the necessities of life in India, and that too through the labor and intellect of villagers. That means a reversal of the existing process. That is to say that instead of half a dozen cities of India and Great Britain living on exploitation and the ruins of the 7 lakh villages of India, the latter will be largely self-contained and will voluntarily serve the cities of India and even the outside world in so far as it benefits both the parties. The potential to produce khadi laying at the fingertips of an individual makes him or her empowered and proud of the identity. For Gandhi, khadi was a means to uniting the Indian of acquiring economic freedom and equality. More importantly, khadi marked the decentralization of production and distribution of necessaries of life. The spinning wheel was a means of the economic upliftment of the poor and the despised on the one hand, while on the other it afforded considerable appeal on moral and spiritual grounds. The towns in the country that had flourished at the expense of the villages now had the opportunity to compensate the villages by buying cloth, which was spun and woven in the villages. This initiative went a long way in knitting economic and sentimental ties between the people in the villages and in the towns. The spinning wheel became the center of rural development. Anti-malaria campaigns, improvement in sanitation, settlement of disputes in villages, and several other endeavors for enhancement of the quality of life in villages revolved around, in one way or the other, the spinning wheel. It provided an alternative means of livelihood to the underemployed and the unemployed people. For Gandhi, its adoption by the common people marked the protest against the industrialism and materialism. More importantly, the use of khadi reflected the faith and commitment of the masses to the practice of obtaining the necessities of life through the labor and intellect of the villagers. This marked the empowerment of the people in villages by making them self-sufficient and generating the confidence and the potential in them to overthrow their exploitation by the city dwellers. The use of khadi also ushered in the process of decentralization of production and distribution of the basic necessities of life. Gandhi urged congressmen to promote khadi rigorously. Gandhi said that other village industries stand apart from khadi primarily because they do not involve voluntary labor in large numbers. These industries may continue as a handmade of khadi, but they cannot exist without khadi. It may, however, be added that Gandhi did agree that the village economy could not be complete without the operation of village industries, those of hand grinding, hand pounding, soap making, paper making, tanning, oil pressing, and others of this kind. What lay at the core of this thought was the urge to make the villages self-sufficient. He maintained that improvisation of India was inseparably linked with the increasing use of machinery. He noted that hand weaving as an occupation continued to thrive well in Bengal and other places where cloth mills were not established. On the contrary, the condition of workers, particularly that of the women workers, was deplorable in Bombay and other cities where mills were set up. At the corollary, a boycott of machine-made goods in favor of handmade goods would infuse new life in the social and economic condition of the country. He added that since it was not easy to close down the established functioning mills, it was appropriate to register resistance and protest at the time they were being set up. He was deeply convinced about the ability of the village people when he argued that no machinery in the world was a match for the willing hand and feet of the village people, and of course the few simple wooden instruments that they make themselves. Gandhi was convinced that agriculture did not need revolutionary changes. The Indian peasant required the introduction of the spinning wheel, not the handloom. This was because the handloom could be introduced in every home, unlike the handloom. The restoration of the spinning wheel would solve the economic problem of India at a stroke. The All India Village Industries Association, with headquarters and Manganwadi, supported those industries in villages that did not require help from outside the village and could be run with little capital. It was hoped that such industries in the villages would generate employment and purchasing power in the villages. Interestingly, the association took up itself the responsibility of training village workers. It published its own periodical, the Gram Udyog Patrika. Here we want to close this chapter lesson. Thanks for listening.